Once upon a time, in a vast forest nestled in the rolling hills of the countryside, a little baby deer named Rosie was born. Rosie was born in the springtime, a time when the forest was alive with the songs of birds, the buzzing of bees, and the rustling of leaves in the breeze. Rosie was a beautiful fawn, with a shiny coat of reddish-brown fur and big, curious eyes that sparkled in the sunlight. Rosie's mother, a graceful doe, took great care of her, teaching her how to walk and run, and how to hide from danger. Rosie loved spending time with her mother and playing with her forest friends. She loved to chase after butterflies and dance in the meadow, and she loved to listen to her mother's stories about the forest and all of its creatures. One day, while Rosie and her mother were grazing in the forest, they heard a distant howl. Rosie's mother immediately recognized the sound as the howl of wolves. She knew that they were dangerous and that they needed to leave the area quickly. As Rosie and her mother ran through the forest, trying to escape the wolves, Rosie's mother suddenly stumbled and fell. Rosie ran to her side, but it was too late. She had been caught by the wolves and was unable to escape. Rosie was devastated. She cried and cried, but her mother was gone forever. She felt alone and scared, not knowing what to do next. She wandered aimlessly through the forest, trying to find her way back home. As the sun began to set, Rosie found herself in a clearing in the forest. Suddenly, she heard the howling of wolves in the distance. She knew that she was in danger and tried to run away, but her legs were weak from hunger and exhaustion. Just as the wolves were closing in on her, a large, muscular dog appeared out of nowhere and jumped in front of Rosie, growling and barking fiercely at the wolves. The dog was the fiercest dog they have ever seen. The wolves hesitated for a moment, but then they attacked the dog. A fierce battle ensued, with the dog fighting off the wolves with all his might. Eventually, the dog emerged victorious, but he was wounded and bleeding. Despite his injuries, the dog picked up Rosie gently in his mouth and carried her away to safety. He took Rosie to a nearby cave, where she could rest and heal her wounds. Over the next few days, the dog took care of Rosie, protecting her from any danger in the forest. Eventually, Rosie grew strong and healthy, thanks to the dog care and protection. She and the dog became the best of friends, and they roamed the forest together, dog protecting her from any danger that they encountered. Rosie learned many things from the dog. She learned how to defend herself, and she learned how to be brave and loyal. The dog became a mentor to Rosie, teaching her everything she needed to know to survive in the forest. Rosie also learned about the other animals in the forest, and she became friends with many of them. She played with the squirrels and chased after the rabbits, and she even made friends with a wise old owl who taught her many things about the forest. Rosie was curious about Dog, but she never has the courage to ask him what he was doing all alone in the forest. How he got all those ugly scars on his face. He's supposed to be with people. She never asks, but I will tell you. The dog's name was Max, and he had a difficult past. Max was originally owned by a cruel and heartless man who abused him and neglected him. Max was chained up in a small, cramped space for most of his life, and he was rarely given food or water. One day, Max's owner abandoned him in the forest, hoping that he would perish and never be seen again. But Max was a strong and determined dog, and he refused to give up. He learned to survive in the forest, hunting for his own food and finding shelter in caves and hollow trees. Despite his difficult past, Max was a kind and gentle dog, and he never lost his faith in humanity. He believed that there were good people in the world, and he hoped that one day he would find a loving home and a kind owner who would treat him with the respect and love he deserves. When Max first met Rosie, he saw something special in her. He saw the innocence and vulnerability of a young fawn, and he knew that she needed his help. Max knew what it was like to be alone in the forest, and he didn't want Rosie to experience the same loneliness and fear. Max took Rosie under his wing, teaching her everything he knew about the forest and how to survive. He became a father figure to Rosie, always watching over her and protecting her from any danger that might come their way. As the days passed, Max's wounds began to heal, and he grew stronger and healthier. And as he watched Rosie grow and thrive under his care, he knew that he had found a true friend and companion. Max and Rosie's friendship was based on mutual trust, respect, and love. They learned from each other, and they never gave up on one another, no matter what challenges they faced. Max had finally found the family he had always dreamed of, and Rosie had found a friend for life. As Rosie and Max continued to live in the forest, they made new friends along the way. One of their closest friends was a rabbit named Squares, who had a unique way of speaking. Squares was always bouncing around, full of energy and curiosity. He would often ask Max questions about the world beyond the forest, and he loved hearing stories about his adventures. Another friend they made was a wise old owl named Whistle, who lived in a hollow tree nearby. Whistle was always willing to offer advice and guidance to Rosie and Max, especially when it came to navigating the forest and avoiding danger. His deep knowledge of the forest and its inhabitants was invaluable to Rosie and Max. Together, the four of them would explore the forest, playing games and learning new things. They would often take breaks and sit around at night, sharing stories and talking about their hopes and dreams. Rosie and Max were happiest when they were together, and they became inseparable. Max continued to watch over Rosie, keeping her safe from any danger that might come their way. Rosie, in turn, looked up to Max as a father figure, and she knew that she could always count on him to be there for her. As time passed, Rosie and Max's friendship grew stronger, and they became a well-respected pair in the forest. They had each other, and they had their friends, and they knew that they were never truly alone. Although life in the forest was not always easy, Rosie and Max knew that they had found something special in each other and in their new family of friends. They were grateful for every moment they spent together, and they never forgot the lessons they had learned about love, loyalty, and the true meaning of friendship. One day, while Max and Rosie were out exploring the forest, they stumbled upon a small cabin at the edge of the woods. It belonged to a family who lived there, and they had noticed Max's presence in the forest for some time. The family was kind and compassionate, and they recognized that Max had been abandoned and left to fend for himself. They knew they had to help him, and they took him in, offering him a loving home and a family that cared for him. Max was overjoyed to be part of a loving family again, and he quickly adjusted to his new surroundings. He had a cozy bed to sleep in, plenty of food to eat, and all the love and attention he could ever want. He was grateful to have been rescued by such a wonderful family, and he never forgot the hardships he had faced in the forest. Despite his newfound happiness, Max never forgot about Rosie, and he would often think back to the days when they roamed the forest together. Rosie, too, missed Max dearly, and she would visit him at the cabin whenever she could. Even after many years had passed, Rosie would still come to visit Max, and they would spend hours catching up and reminiscing about old times. Max was grateful for Rosie's friendship, and he knew that he had a special place in her heart, just as she had in his. Together, they had overcome hardship and found a deep bond that would never be broken, no matter how much time had passed. In the end, Max realized that his difficult past had led him to the greatest gift of all, the love and loyalty of his new family and his dearest friends. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more. I appreciate your support.